Well, Jackie, I've just returned from West Virginia, where the governor has mandated mask wearing there to try and stem the sharp rise in coronavirus cases they've seen in recent weeks. They were very proud of themselves for having fended off the worst of the pandemic back in March, but having reopened in May with very few mitigation measures in place, they now find themselves at the centre of a very big resurgence in cases. Nothing like as big as what we're seeing in Texas, Arizona and Florida, but the governor says that West Virginia is headed right there unless people abide by the rules and put those face masks on. Incidentally, the president is also down in Florida today. He's at the centre of the outbreak in Miami, but that is not why he is there. He's there on other business, and this afternoon he's hosting a fundraiser. And one thing I think we can safely assume, Jackie, is that Donald Trump himself will not be wearing a face mask.
This scene is so very 2019. Friends packed together, carefree. Not a whisper of COVID-19, not a mask in sight. Yet this is 2020 in West Virginia, the state with one of the fastest growing virus surges in the country. And their governor has a message for them.
Our power stops this disease right in its tracks. For crying out loud, wear your mask. It takes that long to put on.
As of this week, that's what he's ordered West Virginians to do, but only when they're indoors. And even then, judging by these sun worshippers, it's a tough sell.
Your state this week has mandated that you wear masks. How do you feel about that?
I think it should be up to the individual. If they want to wear one, it's up to them, and if they don't, they don't.
A lot of people feel like that you're being told what to do.
We should have our own citizen rights and have our own views on it, whether or not we want to wear the mask indoors or not.
The data would show that if you wear a mask, you're less likely to contract COVID-19. Do you buy that?
No, I believe that you're more likely to contract it because the mask increases the bacteria that grabs to the mask.
So you think a mask is more likely to give you COVID?
Absolutely.
With millions of Americans seemingly resistant to wearing masks, is it any wonder that the virus is now surging in over half the country, with more than 3 million people infected? Although the numbers are still comparatively low in West Virginia, about 4,000 cases, the worry is they're accelerating fast, up nearly 40% in the past week alone.
You've gone from being one of the states that held COVID down the best to potentially one of the worst. How has that happened?
We knew when things opened back up, restaurants opened back up, that we were going to see some increases. I don't think we anticipated them being this large. Our numbers are still growing, and what we don't want to see is a massive explosion and spikes like they saw in New York.
Hence the mask wearing. But knowing he'd face resistance, the governor here chose to issue the mandate, but make it voluntary.
What is the point of a voluntary mask mandate? You either mandate it or you don't.
The compliance part is a little bit more difficult when you do not have any penalties that have been attached to it, because right now the opinion is, why would I wear a face mask? There's no repercussions if I don't.
Over at the women's softball field, they're wearing face shields, not masks. But there's no sign of any COVID concerns among the spectators.
West Virginia is, of course, prime Trump turf. But when it comes to COVID and mask wearing, the president confuses the picture further still. While his administration's official line is to recommend that people wear them, he himself steadfastly refuses to do so. He even accuses those who do of being politically correct.
But still, they come out batting for him. Like this Republican who went to the local high school. He's not offended by the president's refusal to wear a mask.
What message does that send to people, do you think?
I think this has all been hyped way too much, but I think it should be left to personal choice.
If you were going into a pub or a restaurant or a bar, it sounds like you wouldn't choose to wear a mask.
I won't wear a mask, not in a pub or restaurant. If you're that concerned about your friends and neighbors, then you should stay home.
And therein lies the problem. People aren't staying at home. They're going out, they're sunbathing, socializing, encouraged by their president to just get back to normal life. And enough of them continue to refuse to wear masks. So Americans everywhere are paying the price.
Siobhan Kennedy reporting there from West Virginia. Well, let's go now to Margaret Harris at the World Health Organization in Geneva. Good to have you back on the programme, Margaret. Where are we all going? I'm using the global we.
We are seeing a big acceleration in cases. We have seen cases double in the last 6 weeks. We're now over 12 million. And the worst part of this is we've lost 500,000 people. We've lost an enormous number of people in a very, very short time. And what we all need to be doing, where we all need to be going, is doing our utmost to stop this so that we do not lose any more people.
But is this because we're unlocking too quickly, or while we're unlocking, we're not social distancing? You know, what are the common themes that are leading to these appalling numbers in so many different parts of the world?
Well, it's a range of things. Just as you said, in some instances, some countries and communities have found that the message that when they unlocked was not, now let's do it stepwise, understand, consolidate on the great work you've done, the deprivation you've experienced. Now's the moment to make sure that what you've achieved you achieve more and more by being careful. The message that people got was, okay, let's go out and party. You could party, but only if you take all precautions. Understand it's a different sort of party. You can have a party where you really do socially distance, where you continually wash your hands, where you understand that if you're in close contact, you're at much higher risk.
So if we don't learn those lessons, if we carry on the same path that we're on right now, we could reach 1 million deaths by the end of the summer, if not more.
We certainly could see a number like that, or even worse. And this is exactly why all the effort that's gone on before, all the locking down, all the fantastic things people have done to allow the numbers to go down so that the authorities can get their eyes on where the fires really are. That's what it was all about. It wasn't going to finish the outbreak. It was never going to just finish it. It was going to give the health system a chance to find where the embers are. You know, my colleague Mike Ryan said, it's very hard to spot a small fire. You've got to really do the testing and everything else. But if you can find that small fire, you can put it out. But if you leave it, it burns and it becomes a big fire.
And Margaret, I wonder if you at the World Health Organization haven't been clear enough in some of the directives, like wear masks, social distancing. You know, there's a debate whether there should be 1 meter or 2 meter. Absolute clarity across the board, or are you just being ignored by too many people?
Well, absolute clarity is helpful. It's very good to have clear messages. It's great. You've seen this in communities like New Zealand, where you have very, very clear messages about what they were doing. Community was on board with the leadership, and they achieved, a great achievement. But with us, because we're a scientific organization, we also listen to the science. So when the science changes, and science is knowledge, so it changes, we then say, well, at the beginning it was this, but now we see it's this. And that can lead to confusion, but it is important that we do listen to what the science is telling us.
Okay, Margaret Harris at the World Health Organization in Geneva, thanks very much.